Hey everyone, this is the Hot Revenge community. Ready to hear a new intense story? Then get comfortable, because we're starting. A text arrived late one Tuesday night, illuminating my phone. It was from my mother, Judith. I immediately opened the message. The property has been sold. We changed the locks on the repair shop. You are locked out now. I want to see you try to make it on your own. Ha ha. I reread the brief message. The words themselves felt like a punch, but the ha-ha line was what really stung. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was a celebration. They were running a victory lap. I didn't panic or cry. The fury that began building inside me was entirely cold. It was calm, precise, and brought instant clarity. They believed they had won and finally succeeded in excluding me. I simply smiled. They had no idea what they had just unleashed. I set my phone down gently. I didn't call my mother to scream at her. I sat quietly in my silent apartment, letting that cold, measured smile settle on my face. This wasn't happiness. This was calculation. They thought locking the garage physically solved their problem. They forgot I controlled the foundation of the business. I opened my laptop. The bright screen lit the dark room. I logged into the supplier portal for Detroit's primary auto parts distributor. My name, Emily, was registered to the account. Every purchase was guaranteed by my personal credit card on file. I saw the order my father, Walter, had likely placed earlier that day. 12 new transmissions, scheduled for delivery the next morning. I hit cancel. Next, I went to the equipment leasing website. That high-tech diagnostic machine they were so proud of? My name, credit, and guarantee had secured the lease. I canceled that too. The regular order for 24 tires from the Goodyear supplier was next, canceled. By 12:03 a.m., only moments after their so-called declaration of victory, I had completely halted their entire supply chain. The repair shop would be entirely non-functional by sunrise. They couldn't even buy a single wrench without my involvement. To understand why I had this level of control, you need to know about my family. To understand why I felt no guilt, you need to know about the last decade of my life. My name is Emily. I am 29 years old and a highly skilled mechanic. My family used to own a vehicle repair garage in Detroit. That business was established by my grandfather, but for the last 10 years, it has been my responsibility. My father, Walter, serves as the charismatic face of the operation. He enjoys shaking hands and sharing anecdotes, but he can't tell a socket wrench from a torque wrench. My mother, Judith, cares exclusively about public perception and the social status that owning the garage provides. Then there is my sister, Bridget. She is 24. She has always been the golden child. My mother lived her entire life through her. My sister is charming and attractive, and she has never once set foot inside the garage. She used to claim she was allergic to grease. Really, she was allergic to effort. I always assumed I was the responsible one. That was the term they constantly used for me, responsible. It sounds complimentary, but in our family, it was a lifelong burden. While my sister received a fully paid business degree and money for her professional wardrobe, I was busy working in the shop. I started sweeping the floors when I was 15. By 19, I could rebuild an engine. By 22, I was not only the lead mechanic, but also the bookkeeper, inventory manager, and supplier contact. I was the only thing preventing the company from going into foreclosure. The repair business was deeply troubled. It operated like a bottomless pit for cash. I was the only one putting money in. I contributed more than just my time. I funded it with my own capital. The total reached $195,000. I recorded the figure precisely because I am meticulous with financial records. This obligation began 5 years ago. My father's business credit line was about to be canceled by the bank. The note was for $15,000. I took out a separate loan to pay it off using my excellent credit rating. I rationalized it as securing the family's future. Later, 3 years ago, we had to replace the hydraulic lifts. Safety inspectors condemned the old ones. My father considered closing the shop. I stopped him. I spent $50,000, my entire savings, to purchase 2 new lifts and the necessary modern diagnostic equipment. You cease being a person. You function as a support column. You are terrified of pausing. You fear that if you stop holding things up, the entire structure will collapse. You assume it will be entirely your fault. This is a form of learned helplessness. It has no physical bars, but it is a prison. You become so accustomed to the dynamic that you cannot find the exit. You bear the burden, holding on to the hope that your major sacrifice will finally be recognized. You deeply believe that if your performance is good enough, if you are strong enough, or simply useful enough, they will finally notice you. But acknowledgement never comes. This is because they are trapped in their own habits, the normalization of cruelty. They did not view their actions toward me as cruel. They were merely following the roles we had all tacitly accepted. My father, Walter, was the leader. My mother, Judith, managed appearances. My sister, Bridget, was the favored one, destined for success, meant for a better life. I was the dependable one. When they used my funds, they did not feel they were stealing. They saw it as their entitlement. It was just the responsible daughter doing her duty. They accepted that my funding was necessary for my sister's progress. While I spent my savings on repair equipment, my sister posted travel photos from Europe. My mother proudly boasted that the garage had financed the trip. They were not malicious villains from a story. They were far more common and truly terrifying. They were people who had justified their selfishness for so long that they no longer realized they were being selfish at all. At 7 a.m., my phone began receiving non-stop notifications. First was a frantic voicemail from my father, Walter. He wasn't asking questions. He was shouting, "Emily, what did you do? All our supply orders are canceled. The repair shop is completely frozen. You've created a huge crisis. You must fix this immediately." A few seconds later, a text arrived from my sister, Bridget. "You are totally overreacting. Mom was just upset. You know how she can be. You need to call the auto parts dealer back and restore the orders. This is highly inconvenient for me." Of course, she was embarrassed. Then came the grand finale. My mother, Judith, made a public announcement on her social media account. It is truly heartbreaking when children forget who provided for them. We gave them everything we had. Now they are trying to ruin their entire family over some minor disagreement. I reviewed every communication. I listened to the entire voicemail. Yet in that torrent of fear and accusations, nobody asked why. Not one person checked if I was okay or admitted they had gone too far. They were not sorry for what they did to me. They were only furious that I had finally cut off their money flow. Their complete lack of regret was the ultimate ha-ha. It gave me the final authorization I needed. It proved they felt nothing for me. This cleared the way for my next step. I did not respond to any of them. I let their rising panic hang in the air. I prepared a cup of coffee. I opened my laptop and made a different call. They truly had no idea what they'd done. She paused for a moment. "I've never been so pleased to be a lawyer. What exactly do you want, Emily? Tell me your exact goal." "I want the money they owe me," I stated clearly. "Excellent," she responded, "because we are going to collect it." Paige was ruthless. She wasted no time whatsoever. That same morning, she prepared a formal legal notification, a demand letter. It was not sent by email. A professional legal courier delivered it to my parents' home that afternoon. It arrived likely as they were eating dinner, wondering why I continued to ignore their calls. The conditions were straightforward. They had 30 days to comply. Option 1, start a legally binding repayment schedule for the full $195,000 I had invested. Option 2, grant me an immediate 50% ownership stake in the upcoming land sale. If they failed to respond or ignored the letter, a full lawsuit for unjust enrichment would be filed immediately, demanding the total amount, accrued interest, and all legal expenses. This was no longer just a family conflict. This was a serious legal dispute, and I had just arrived at a knife fight carrying a tank. Paige called me again 48 hours later. I anticipated a response to the demand letter, maybe a furious message from my father. Instead, I heard disturbing news. "Em, are you sitting?" she asked. Her voice was sharp and cold. "What is it?" I replied. "I investigated the property sale," she said. "I found the corporate filings for the purchasing LLC who signed the contract. The name is Samuel Thorne. Recognize it?" I paused. "No. Wait, yes! Thorne, my sister's fiancé." Paige's voice was flat. "Samuel Thorne is Bridget's future father-in-law." My body went cold. I sat down instantly. This was a deal, not a random sale. They sold the land to my sister's new family. It was a business arrangement, a dowry to secure her social status. My time, money, and life had been sold to finance my sister's marriage. The deliberate calculation was horrifying. "Paige," I whispered, "that is terrible." "Get ready," she cautioned. "That's not the worst part. What could be worse? The $105,000 business loan," she continued. "The one you covered for 5 years. The one that started everything." I suspected something. I subpoenaed the original bank documents, got them an hour ago. The silence was crushing. "Emily," she finally said, "you told me your father asked for help. You took a loan to cover his payments." "Yes, he faced default. He couldn't default," I stated, "because the loan had a personal guarantor." "Who?" "Your father forged your signature." I couldn't breathe. "Your name is on the initial document as the guarantor. He signed it. That's why he came to you. He wasn't asking for help. He was hiding his felony. If that loan defaulted, the bank would have taken your apartment, your savings, everything." This was the final blow. It was fraud, a crime. It wasn't greed or favoritism. I hadn't been helping. I had been covering up evidence of his felony. The ha-ha text suddenly made sickening sense. They locked me out because the land was sold, and they thought I, the key witness, was no longer needed. I stayed silent, the phone pressed to my ear as the last bit of family loyalty evaporated. The lawsuit hit them hard. Paige called Monday. "You won't believe this," she smiled. "The developer, Samuel Thorne, heard about the lawsuit. He doesn't want his son marrying into a family cited for forgery." I gripped my coffee. "What happens now?" "He's threatening to back out of the land purchase," Paige said. "He won't link his name to a criminal investigation." The very deal that they had committed fraud for was now being destroyed by my lawsuit. Panic set in. Their calls came, desperate now. I ignored them all. Tuesday night, my door was pounded wildly. I checked the peephole. It was my mother, Judith. Her facade was gone. She was disheveled and weeping. I opened the door. "Emily, stop this," she sobbed. "Thorne will back out. He will cancel Bridget's wedding. Her future is ruined." "She is your sister." I remembered my sister's text. "This is embarrassing me and Mom's. Ha ha." "This was never about money, Mom," I said, my voice empty. "You know that. What do you want?" "We'll pay. Just help your sister." That old line, do something for the family that bled me dry and laughed. "Okay," I said quietly. Hope flashed in her eyes. "Oh, Emily, thank you." "I already did," I told her. I stepped inside, retrieved a folded paper, and handed it to her. She looked at it. "What is this?" "The settlement," I informed her. "That is a copy of the criminal complaint I filed against Dad today. I sent it to the district attorney and to Mr. Thorne." Her face went white. Hope died, replaced by horror. "Goodbye, Mom," I said, shutting the door. The criminal complaint ended it. Faced with irrefutable proof of felony, my father's resistance collapsed. Samuel Thorne backed out instantly. Bridget's engagement was called off. Marrying a family facing fraud charges was unacceptable. The lawsuit was a slaughter. We never went to trial. Their lawyers saw the evidence and immediately pushed for settlement. The terms were simple. They had zero power. They had to sell the garage land at a public auction immediately to cover their debts. After creditors were paid, the remaining money was split. My father, Walter, received 3 years of probation for fraud. I watched the wire transfer clear on my laptop, $400,000. I opened my old spreadsheet, $195,000. The loans, the equipment, the payroll, the years of my life, all reduced to one number. It was the price of their fake approval. I highlighted the file and pressed delete. That night, I slept free. No dreams of invoices or grease, no pressure of being the responsible one. But justice isn't destruction. It isn't the money you recover. It's what you build with it. There is the storm's justice, which destroys to settle a score, and there is the soil's justice, which plants new growth. I chose the soil. 6 months later, I used the settlement to buy a rundown garage across Detroit. I cleaned, painted, and bought the best equipment. Today, E-Tech Auto is open. It's bright, clean, and mine alone. We're booked for 3 weeks. This morning, under a classic Mustang, my new apprentice, a young woman fresh from trade school, looked at me nervously. "Emily," she asked, "am I ready?" I saw myself in her. I wiped my hands, picked up a clean torque wrench, and placed it in her palm. "You're ready," I said. "Let me show you. I am free. I am not just a daughter or a mechanic. I am a builder, and this is my legacy." Have you ever chosen yourself over family? Did you have to tear things down to build something new? Tell me your story in the comments.